Let's talk for a few minutes about your roster because when you inherit a team in BuzzerBeater, when you start a new team, you basically have like 18 players and they all don't seem that great. And that's true. They're really not. You're going to eventually want to upgrade players. As you do the tutorial, which you should always do the tutorial, you will get both some bonus money and you will get 3 players onto your team. That will be, for the most part, better than any player that's on your team when you inherit a new one. If you're rebuilding a team or a newer player that kind of is unsure of what's happening and you feel like you're spinning your wheels, maybe this video will help you out just as a basic way to kind of visualize and look at what your roster is and what you need your roster to do. So here on the chart, what do we have here? If you've watched the other videos, this is your first league game of the week. This is your second league game of the week. And in between those two, you play in a cup until you get eliminated. And then you play in scrimmages after that, right? So these are on Tuesdays, these are on Thursdays, and these are on Saturdays. A buzzer beater game has 48 minutes, all right? Let me get that in white, right? 48 minutes per game. All right, so you've got to fill that time. There are 5 positions, obviously. So you need 48 minutes gobbled up by the point guard, right? And obviously everyone else. When you have, if you want a starter and a backup, the minutes might look something like this. 34 and 14. Why? Because that equals 48 minutes, which is how many you play. So let's say we just want a very simple way to look at it. Starter, backup, starter, backup, starter, backup, starter, backup. I'm not going to put that here. Why? Because in this theoretical world, also this S is so far away now. Oh, I guess that looks better over there. Whatever. In this theoretical world, we are training this position. All right. So we've got, and on this theoretical roster, we have a couple of young players. We have a 19-year-old, a 19-year-old. Or actually, you know what? I'll just show you my roster. Why not? I don't care. I like sharing. That's why I have the app right here. If you're using the app, which you should because it's free and it's great and it's easy to use. You can't do everything on the app, but you can do a lot. I'm going to go over here, down here to My Team. There's a couple ways to access your roster. One is to go to My Team down here, and it'll actually bring you to My Office first. Then you can click on Roster here. You can see here I have 14 players on my team. And they are ordered by their salaries, which is per week. All right, I got a couple of injuries, no big deal. It's the end of the season anyway, and I'm just playing scrimmages at this point, so it really doesn't matter. I am training this player here, and this player here at the center position. So there's these 3 games here, right? This guy, let's do red, why not? So 48 minutes, 48 minutes, and 48 minutes. So those 3 guys, trainee 1, trainee 2, and trainee 3, are playing the entire 48 minutes in my 3 important matches. Different guys, trainee 1, trainee 2, trainee 3. These are 3 different players, the 3 players I just showed you over here on the left, okay? So these other positions will just keep like we had it, right? So let's go with this color now instead. Let's go with a nice yellowy color. They call me Janky Bob Ross. Let's get rid of that. So let's say all these other ones are about what we said, right? 34 and 14, 34 and 14, 34. Well, don't like that. 34, 14. And same thing, 34, 14. Again, we're just keeping this simple for now. So when you start this lineup, you've got, let's think about this now. You've got 1 player, that's your starting point guard. Then you have a backup. So that's 2 players, right? Yeah, let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you only dress 9 players. You can do it many different ways, but in this system here, you're dressing 9 players. So when you start off and your team has 17 players, guess what? You can fire half of them, no problem. Just about, all right? Don't actually go out and fire half your 50% of your team because I just said that, but you get the idea that a lot of that roster you're just going to want to dump. So my scrimmages could be the same thing, but let's say my second league game is the same as this one. All right. So we got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 system. This game is 9. Now, in Buzzer Beater, I don't want to get too into the weeds in training right now, but if your players play too many minutes, oh, I put that 48 too high. How about that? 48 minutes a game. If your players play too many minutes, their game shape goes down. Essentially, they get tired. If they play the right amount of minutes, their game shape stays in peak form, aka they're in good form. So in order to accomplish this, you don't really want to play a player. Let's get a color we have not used yet today to really impact this. You want to stay like under 75 minutes, okay? It's more specific than that, but as a general rule, you don't want that. So if we go 34 and 34, that's good because we're at 68 minutes. So even if we were at 72, I'd be okay with that. The 60s are great. That's where you'd love to be. The 50s are okay too, but you don't want to really be below 48 to 46 if you can help it. Again, we'll get into all that in like a training video, but just understand 50 to 60s are like really ideal for your minutes, okay? It is specific to like player stamina, and there's lots of factors in it. I get that, but the simple general rule would be around 60-ish minutes and less than 75, you'll be okay. All right, so this is minutes per game. All right. So my point is, if we start this guy, player 1, here and here, that gives him 68 minutes. But this backup has only gotten 14 and 14, only giving him 28, right? Far under, let's do all those numbers again so they look better. Why can't I write a 6 right now? What is happening? All right. So this player needs more minutes, and he can get them in this scrimmage. So your backup player can start here. Can he play all 48? Well, if he does, you're looking at 76 minutes, right? So that's like, you could get away with it, but you're pushing your luck. The better thing, or the thing I like to do, is I'll start him in this game, and let's say he gets 35 minutes. I just have some random scrub, player 10, right? Or like, this is player 9, right? This is a different guy. Some other guy that's not in this rotation or any of your trainees, right? This scrimmage fodder is what I call them, right? So we'll call them SFs for short, scrimmage fodder. So look at my roster over here. Again, I've got some of these cheap guys, dirt cheap, in fact, 1,000 a week, 1,000 a week, 1,100 a week, 1,300, and 1,900. These guys represent scrimmage fodder. Now, this guy's on my team for sentimental reasons because he's the last remaining player from my original team that I got. So I fired everybody but the cheapest guy, and he will stay on my team forever. He's a lifer, folks. You can do this with your team too. Once you get a new roster, keep your 3 cheapest players if their salaries are under, let's say, 2,000, and they can, for a very cost-effective way, they can fill these minutes right here. So this guy gets these last 13, right? And the same thing, this guy right here would also be at 28 minutes, player number 4, right? Player number 6, the same player 8. So again, it can be way more complex, and there's better ways to do this. I'm not saying this is the best way, just so you get how to look at this. This player 4 can get you those 30. Let's go back to 34. I don't know why I changed this to 35, whatever. 34, this guy gets you 34, and this guy gets you 34. So you could do something like this, and then have those backups are good for their minutes. And then you've got these scrimmage fodder players taking up these minutes. And what you can do to be sneaky is just have 2 guys filling this one role. So you have one guy backing up these 2 positions. These guys will both end up playing more like 38 minutes a game if you do that, probably. But the point is that'll still keep them good for their minute cap, right? And then it doesn't matter if his game shape's bad because this guy's just there to absorb minutes. And you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing here. So this is a good scrimmage fodder player number 2. And so these guys just soak up leftover minutes from your weekly schedule. This looks like a lot. This looks like we're looking at a chemistry thing right now. So I apologize, but hopefully you've been with me since the beginning and you're tracking on all this. But you get the idea, right? The idea is that you have your guys that you start, you have your guys that you train, and then it's a good idea to have a couple of guys that are just garbage, but are very cheap. Okay. They don't cost you anything and they're there to help with minutes. So this is one way to look at how to build your roster. What is the end result of this? Well, the end result is that you just need, here, see, look, it's all gone. Sorry, buy everything, buy. 14 players is fine. All right. You don't really need more than that. If you want more, fine. If you want less, fine. All right. Fine. Have fun. If you want more in-depth explanations about all this stuff, again, this is all kind of basic stuff. There's a guy who's a phenomenal human being named Bubbles who has a buzzer beater channel as well. And his has been around for a long time. He's the OG. He's the godfather. He's got a lot of videos. He uses the website. So if you want to learn how to navigate that, and he's got more in-depth descriptions on some of the themes I touched on here. I've watched all of his videos because I'm a fan. And he definitely has descriptions and in-depth analysis of some of the stuff I covered here. So if you want more in-depth right now, you don't want to wait, you can go check out his stuff for sure. Other than that, that's just a quick, simple way to look at the early days of building a roster, right? Getting just some players that can cover your minutes. Don't worry. You don't want to get too expensive with their prices early. You want to try and save money early. You can get more pricey players down the road once you have a bigger arena. Trust me, don't overextend yourself, though, and end up broke. That happened to me. So I'm saying it as a cautionary tale. I'm not, trying to be hoity-toity. I'm not on a soapbox. Here's a box with soap on it. See, I'm not on that box. This is me over here, not on the box, next to the box. Nobody likes the guy that's on this box, okay? There it is. If you want to leave a comment below about tips or tricks or anything like that you do with your roster construction, by all means, just try not to be horrible about it. And outside of that, I appreciate you watching. Thanks.